All right, May 31st. I'm gonna talk about why you should not get into the cooking industry. So, let me start by saying everyone should know how to cook because that's like a basic function of life, and life would be very bland without food and food that tastes good. Luckily, you can just throw down some money and have professionals cook it for you. But it's also good for you to learn how to cook yourself because it allows you to appreciate food better because you you know how hard or how technical or whatever reason it is to for a chef to kind of it's you can appreciate how hard it is for the chef to create what they did and create the flavor, because there's certain things that most people don't really know how it got that way. Let's say how a dry aged steak got the way it is and why it tastes good because of all the chemicals and stuff and breaking down and all that stuff. Anyways, why should you not become a professional cook? If you if you're in another career and you really know you want to switch into cooking, then so be it. But if you're somebody young and you're just questioning what you want to do with your life and you like see people on TV and you're like, I want to be a famous chef. Do not start cooking if you're not willing to work harder and longer than everyone else around you, basically, because otherwise you'll just get stuck working around people that they're just there to pay their bills. Now that's respectable and whatever, like working at a hotel making $20 to $30 an hour overtime and having all your insurance covered. That if that's what you want, then go for it. But you could, if you really wanted to be a restaurateur or have a restaurant or anything like that, the better route to go about it is make your money in a different industry, then open up a restaurant. Because it's very hard for, I googled it a couple years ago. Average age to become a sous chef, I think it was like 25 to 30, and then average age to become a CEO of any company is around 40, and average age to become an executive chef is, I think it was like 32 to 35. So just think about your how much money you make. Like, I went to school for 4 years and I worked as a line cook for 7 years. So my very first job, I was getting paid $8 an hour cash under the table. So having no expenses, that's fine and whatever. But like, if I wanted to save money and invest in stuff to have a decent amount of money to do whatever I wanted, cooking is not the route, because I went from $8 to $8.25 was my next job because that's the legal minimum wage, and then I think it was $9.25, and then it was $10.10. I always got minimum wage for my first. I worked for other people for 7 years. I got paid minimum wage every time except for 2 times, when I worked in Waikiki and when I worked at a hotel in Maui. Other than that, minimum wage. The highest I got paid was $10.10. And even with being paid minimum wage, I didn't actually get paid minimum wage because in restaurants you're expected to get your job done. and if it means coming in early and not clocking in, because realistically nobody can get, like, most people can't get the amount of work done that they're supposed to, unless it's like a corporate place where like people, they're just there to get the paycheck. But usually in places that fine dining places that like the people want to learn and grow and all that stuff, the workload is heavier, and you're expected to do it basically for free, because you're expected to come in, clock in, don't clock in, work for half an hour, 1 hour, whatever, and then clock in. And then at the end of the night, they might, even though your station's a mess because you just finished cooking the last meal, it's, let's say, 10:30 p.m. Some places will tell you go clock out, just so you don't get any overtime. And that's with you being on minimum wage. Like my last job, I got $10.10 an hour, and they made sure I only had 80 hours clocked in when I realistically worked probably 100 to 110 in 2 weeks. Yeah. So, although I got more, that's the thing, you get what you get out of it. What I learned over there was, it wasn't really learning, it was practicing. It was practicing taking on more workload and being more efficient to get more shit done in a smaller amount of time. Because most people, they try to just do their job because that's their job. This is how restaurants in general are not a job where you push further and try and create more work. It's just, this is my prep list for today. This is, you can't, as a cook, you can't create more covers for your restaurant to do. So it's more of a maintaining job, because if you're doing 10 covers or if you're doing 50 covers, your job is to hold down your station. So it's not really in the system for you to push to, I mean, you can create new dishes and stuff, but you can't create more work. But I guess I did, because every opportunity, I always tried to take more work. And when I worked at my last job, they sent me to Maui to help them transfer recipes to a new restaurant they're consulting for. And when I was about to leave, I mean, like a week before, I knew a stage was coming in. He was a sous chef and I was a line cook, and he was supposed to replace me, a sous chef replacing a line cook. So I knew he was coming, so I couple days before, I prepped up heavier so that there would be a smaller workload on that day that he was there. And he came in, and then I showed him what I did all day. It's like, do this, do this, do it. And I didn't have him actually help me do it. I just had him watch me do it, so you could see that one person could do it. And by the end of the day, we were just like talking about the overall job in the station. And then he was like, oh, that was a lot of work. That was a heavy list today, huh? And then I told him, no, that was easy. I that was like a half list. I did extra on the past couple of days because I knew you were coming, so we could go slow. He never showed up the next day, and I'm pretty sure people said he quit cooking at that point. Yeah. And then I had to fly out, so I flew out. And then just my coworkers, they called me, and like every once in a while I'd be like, oh, how's it going and all that stuff. And essentially they kept hiring new people to do my job, but because my job was I kept taking on more workload, and that became my job. It was way too much for people, that they would like go in, try it, and be like, nope, I'm out of here. And then it got to a point where they had to move somebody from a different station because all these outside people coming in would quit. So they moved somebody from a different station to my station, and the chef had to help them two people, the chef and the other cook, had to work together to do the amount of work that I did. So getting more shit done. I don't know how we got there from why you shouldn't cook, but we did anyways.